The words came out ragged, soaked in blood, as Jake Harlan slumped against the marble wall of the grand atrium lobby. His white security guard shirt bloomed crimson right over his heart. In his arms,
"Who are you?"
"I'm her mother!"
8-year-old Lily Chen, daughter of billionaire tech mogul Richard Chen, trembled like a leaf in a hurricane. Her pink backpack was still clutched in Jake's left hand, his right pressed uselessly against the hole the bullet had torn through him. The shooter was already down, tackled by 2 off-duty cops who'd been getting coffee. Sirens howled closer. People screamed. Phones recorded everything. But Lily only heard one thing, the wet, failing rhythm of the man who had just thrown his body between her and death, whispering again, softer this time, "You're safe now, kiddo. Daddy's coming. Just hold on to me." Then Jake's knees buckled, and the world went blacked out around them both. That was the video that broke the internet at 3:17 p.m. on a rainy October Thursday. By midnight, it had 47 million views. By morning, the whole country knew 2 names. Lily Chen. And Jake Harlan, single father, night shift security guard, hero. Nobody knew yet that Jake had a little girl of his own waiting at home who still didn't understand why Daddy hadn't come back from work. 6 months earlier, April, Jake Harlan woke up to the sound of retching. He bolted out of bed, bare feet hitting the cold hardwood, and ran to the bathroom door in 3 strides. Baby, I'm here." His daughter, Emma, age 6, knelt over the toilet, pale as paper, curls stuck to her sweaty forehead. Chemo had been brutal this round. "I'm okay, Daddy," she lied, voice tiny. Just a little sick." Jake scooped her up like she weighed nothing, and she almost didn't anymore, and carried her back to the nest of blankets on the couch. Their apartment was small, 2nd floor of a tired brick building in South Philly. Rent was late again. The fridge hummed too loud because the seal was going. But the couch was theirs, and it was soft, and Emma's favorite Disney movie was already queued up. He tucked her in, kissed the top of her bald head, and whispered, "You are the bravest knight in the whole kingdom, you know that." Emma gave him a tired smile that could still power the sun. "You're my dragon, Daddy. Always." He waited until her breathing evened out, then stepped into the kitchenette and let his own breathing fracture. He braced both hands on the counter and cried without sound so she wouldn't hear. Stage 4 neuroblastoma. Diagnosed 14 months ago. The best pediatric oncologist in the city had laid it out gently. Even with aggressive treatment, odds were maybe 40%. Jake had nodded like a soldier receiving orders, then gone home and thrown up himself. Money was the second cancer eating them alive. Jake had been a Marine, 2 tours in Afghanistan, but when he was younger than most people are when they start college. Came home with a knee full of shrapnel and a chest full of medals nobody cared about when the VA waitlist was 9 months long. He'd worked construction, then private security, then bounced at bars. Anything to keep Emma in the trial drugs that cost more per dose than he used to make in a month. Now he worked doubles at Apex Tower, the glittering 62-story headquarters of Chen Technologies in downtown Philadelphia. Day shift when he could get it, night shift when he couldn't. The pay was the best he'd ever had, and the health insurance actually covered something resembling care. He wore the navy blazer with the little silver A on the lapel like it was dress blues. Richard Chen, the CEO, was a name on the directory Jake walked past every day. Chen was on Forbes lists, gave TED Talks, had a private helicopter. Jake had never even seen him in person. Billionaires and night shift guards don't ride the same elevators. But their daughters were about to change that. May, the first time they met. Lily Chen hated the new school. Her mother had died in a car accident when Lily was 4, and her father, brilliant, distracted Richard, had moved them from Singapore to Philadelphia for a fresh start. Which mostly meant Lily saw even less of him than before. Now she spent her days at elite Grayston Academy, where the other kids spoke fluent Mandarin and vacationed in G-Stad and asked why her backpack had a unicorn on it instead of Louis Vuitton. So every afternoon at 3:30, Lily sat alone on the marble bench outside the school gates, knees tucked to her chest, waiting for the driver who was always late because Mr. Chen was always in another meeting. One Wednesday, the sky cracked open with rain. The driver texted, "Traffic nightmare. Be there 4:15 latest." Lily watched the rain sheet down and felt the familiar ache behind her eyes. That was when a big navy-blazered man with kind eyes and a slight limp appeared under a huge black umbrella. "Hey there, princess," Jake said gently. "You okay out here by yourself?" Lily shrugged, trying to look braver than she felt. Jake glanced at the school crest, put 2 and 2 together. Chen, right? Apex Tower kid. She nodded. I work for your dad. Well, kind of. I work in the building your dad works in. He grinned. Name's Jake. How about you wait in the guard booth with me till your ride shows? It's dry, and I've got goldfish crackers. Lily hesitated exactly 2 seconds, then took the offered hand. That was the beginning. Every day after that, when the driver was late, which was most days, Lily beelined for the security desk in the soaring lobby of Apex Tower. Jake kept a little bowl of goldfish just for her. They did homework together. He taught her how to make paper cranes. She taught him how to say thank you in Mandarin and how to braid hair, badly. He never asked why a billionaire's daughter was always alone. She never asked why sometimes his eyes were red when he came back from his break. They just fit. One day Lily looked up from her math worksheet and asked, Mr. Jake, do you have kids? He smiled the way he only did when he talked about Emma. 1. Emma. She's 6, same as, wait, you're 8, right? Lily nodded. Close enough. She'd love you. She's got the best laugh in the world. Lily's voice went small. I don't have any brothers or sisters. Jake tapped her nose. That's okay. Sometimes the universe gives us bonus sisters instead. Lily carried that sentence around in her pocket for weeks. July, the summer that almost broke them. Emma's cancer came roaring back. The trial drug stopped working. Tumors in her little spine lit up the scans like cruel Christmas lights. The oncologist scheduled emergency radiation, but insurance denied it 3 times. Not enough evidence of efficacy. Jake sat in the hospital parking lot and screamed until his voice gave out. Then he did the only thing he could think of. He walked into Richard Chen's outer office on the 62nd floor with Emma's medical file in his shaking hand and asked the assistant if he could have 5 minutes of Mr. Chen's time. The assistant looked at the cheap folder, the exhausted man in the wrinkled security blazer, and was about to say no when Richard Chen himself stepped out of a conference room. What's this about? Chen asked, distracted, already looking at his phone. Jake's voice cracked. My daughter is dying, sir. And your insurance company just denied the treatment that might save her. I know you don't know me, but I've taken care of your little girl every day after school for months. I'm begging you. Please. Richard Chen looked at Jake for the first time. Really looked. Then he looked at the photo Jake was holding out. Emma in her hospital bed, bald and smiling anyway, holding a sign that said I love you daddy in purple marker. Something shifted behind Chen's eyes. Give me 1 hour, he said quietly. 58 minutes later, Emma was approved for the radiation, the immunotherapy, and an experimental protocol that wasn't even supposed to open until next year. All expenses paid, no questions. Jake sank to the lobby floor and sobbed in the middle of polished marble while fancy people stepped around him. When he could finally breathe again, he sent one text to the number Lily had made him memorize. Tell your dad thank you doesn't feel big enough. But thank you. Richard Chen texted back a single line. Family takes care of family. Jake stared at the screen until it went dark, not understanding yet what that would be asked in return. September, the threat. Nobody saw it coming. Chen Technologies was about to announce a breakthrough in pediatric neuroblastoma treatment, the very protocol Emma was now on. The stock would triple overnight. Lives would be saved by the thousands. But a rival pharmaceutical company, already hemorrhaging money, decided the world-changing medicine was less important than protecting their own outdated, obscenely profitable drugs. They hired a man named Viktor Dreykov. Ex-Spetsnaz. No morals. One job. Make the announcement never happen. Preferred method. Kidnap Richard Chen's only child. Hold her until he shelved the drug forever. Dreykov spent weeks watching. He learned the driver's route. He learned the school. He learned that every day at 3:40 p.m., a little girl in a Grayston uniform walked alone into Apex Tower and sat with the same security guard until her ride came. He decided the lobby would be cleaner than the school. Fewer cameras, more chaos, one guard who, according to the badge photo, limped. Easy. October 17 to 3:42 p.m. Jake was running late. He'd stayed at the hospital with Emma until the very last second. She was having a good day, laughing at Moana, begging him to do the Dwayne Johnson eyebrow. He kissed her 100 times, promised he'd be back after his shift with Wawa hoagies, and sprinted to work. He clocked in breathless, blazer half-buttoned, just as Lily pushed through the revolving doors with her unicorn backpack. "Hey, Mr. Jake. I saved you the orange goldfish." She ran to him, arms out for the hug that had become ritual. That was when Jake saw the man in the long black coat near the elevators. Something was wrong. The way he stood. The way his right hand stayed in his pocket. The deadness in his eyes. Jake had seen that look before, across dusty streets in Helmand Province. He moved without thinking. "Lily, get behind me. Now." His voice was calm, the same tone he'd used telling his squad to take cover seconds before an IED detonated. Lily froze. "Mr. Jake." The man in the coat pulled a suppressed pistol. Everything slowed. Jake stepped directly in front of the little girl who had become the bonus sister of his own daughter's heart. The first bullet hit him high in the chest. The second would have hit Lily in the face. Instead, it tore through Jake's lung. He stayed on his feet long enough to shove Lily down behind the security desk, to cover her body with his, to whisper through blood-flecked lips, "You're safe now." Then the world went quiet. The aftermath. Jake didn't die. Barely. He coded twice in the ambulance. Once in the OR. Spent 9 days in ICU with a machine breathing for him. Woke up to Richard Chen sitting by his bed, eyes hollow, holding Jake's hand like it was the only thing keeping him upright. When Jake could finally speak around the tube, the first words he rasped were, "Is she okay? Lily?" Chen's voice broke. "Because of you, yes. She's not hurt. Not a scratch." Jake closed his eyes. Tears leaked out the sides. Then, weaker, "Emma. She's here. 2 floors up. She's responding to the treatment, Jake. The tumors are shrinking. Fast." Jake cried then. Big, silent sobs that shook the ventilator. Richard stayed until Jake slept. 3 weeks later, Jake was moved to a regular room. His chest was a railroad map of scars, and he'd never run again, but he was alive. The first visitor he asked for, after Emma, was Lily. She came in wearing a tiny navy blazer with a silver A on the lapel, just like his. In her hands she carried a crayon drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. One had curly hair and a hospital gown. One had a unicorn backpack. One had a big red heart on his shirt and a superhero cape. Underneath, in careful second-grade printing, "Thank you for being my dragon, Mr. Jake. I love you. Lily." Jake cried again. A lot of crying happened that month. December. Christmas Eve. The hospital let Jake go home. Well, to the penthouse floor of Apex Tower that Richard Chen had quietly converted into a private wing for them. Emma, now sporting the beginnings of peach fuzz hair, ran, down the hallway when she saw the wheelchair. "Daddy." He barely had time to brace before 40 pounds of little girl launched into his arms. She smelled like strawberries and hope. Richard stood back, Lily's hand in his, watching the reunion with shiny eyes. Later that night, after Emma and Lily had fallen asleep tangled together on the massive couch watching Frozen for the 47th time, Richard found Jake on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. "I can never repay you," Richard said quietly. Jake shook his head. "You already did. She's walking, Rich. My girl is walking." Richard pulled an envelope from his jacket. "Then let me do this." Inside was a trust fund in Emma's name that could pay for anything she would ever need. College, weddings, houses, whatever dream she chased. And a second document, adoption papers. Richard's voice shook. "I lost my wife. I almost lost my daughter. You gave me a second chance to be the father I should have been all along. Lily asks every day when you and Emma are moving in. She wants you to be her big brother. And I want to be the father you both deserve." Jake stared at the papers a long time. Then he looked at the 2 little girls visible through the glass doors, heads together, giggling in their sleep. He signed. Epilogue. 1 year later. The announcement of the neuroblastoma cure went ahead as planned. Children lived who wouldn't have. Richard Chen stood on the stage at the press conference with 3 people beside him. Lily in a beautiful red dress, Emma with a full head of wild curls wearing a tiny blazer, and Jake, walking slowly but walking, in dress blues borrowed for the occasion, medal shining. When a reporter asked Richard who the man in uniform was, Richard didn't say my head of security or the man who saved my company. He put a hand on Jake's shoulder and said, voice breaking on live television in front of millions. This is my son. The finest man I've ever known. Jake looked out at the sea of flashing cameras and didn't see any of them. He only saw his daughters, both of them, beaming up at him. And somewhere inside his chest, beneath the scar that would never fade, he felt the place where a bullet had passed through and, in its leaving, made room for a bigger heart than he'd ever known he had. He bent down, wincing only a little, and whispered to the girls the words that had started it all. "You're safe now." And for the rest of their lives, they were. Some heroes wear capes. Some wear blazers with a little silver A. And some, just some, step in front of bullets for children who weren't theirs yet. But always would be. The world is better because Jake Harlan woke up that October morning and chose, every single minute, to keep loving out loud. And that kind of love. It saves everything.